Welcome back. President Biden's mental capacity is in question this morning following special counsel Robert Hur's report accusing the president of being, quote, an elderly man with a poor memory. The report claims that Biden forgot his own son Beau's death and the timing of when he served as vice president. An ABC News Ipsos poll finds 86% of Americans believe Biden is too old to serve another term as president. Joining me right now is Texas Congressman, House GOP Doctors Caucus member, and former White House physician himself, Ronny Jackson. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate you having me.
Now, I saw your tweet. You said it's time to brush off the 25th Amendment and use it here because President Biden is declining mentally. Talk to us about that. What would you like to see happen?
Well, I think that's a real possibility here right now, Maria, because, look, I mean, I've talked on your show before. I've been saying for well over 3 years before he was president, when he was candidate Joe Biden, that this man has got issues. He's not cognitively fit to be our president. You know, and I'd been around him for 8 years in the White House, in and around the Oval Office. And so I've seen a dramatic change. And if you go back and look at the time when he was vice president and compare it to now, it's amazing at how much he's deteriorated. So I think that, you know, we all see this now. The American people have started to see it more and more over the last 3 years. Now the Hur report came out and documents some of the same stuff that I've been saying that the American people are seeing now. He gets on TV, he tries to refute it. He just reinforces that he's got some serious cognitive issues. It's inspiring confidence in our adversaries. It's, you know, our allies don't want to do stuff with us anymore because they don't trust us and they don't know who's in charge. And so I think that this is the perfect scenario in which case the vice president and a majority of the president's cabinet would get together and notify the Speaker Pro Tem and the Speaker of the Senate Pro Tem and the Speaker of the House that the president is not fit to continue with his duties as president of the United States. In which case, unfortunately, I wouldn't be excited about it, but the vice president would immediately become president. And the 25th Amendment, if you look at Section 4, it's written for a situation exactly like what we're seeing right now. I mean, that is exactly what it was written for. So I hate that, you know, this has gone this way. I honestly didn't think you would make it this far. I think also, Maria, that this is happening. I think that the Democrat Party is letting this happen right now. I think that there should have been a period of time a long time ago where Joe Biden and some of those others that are in the West Wing surrounding him had gone to him and talked to him about this and got him to voluntarily just resign. But that hasn't happened. And so now I think we're in this position where everybody, including Democrats and people on the left, are looking at him and they're saying this man cannot continue to serve as our president.
Yeah, and I think what we really need to zero in on is the national security threat here, right? I mean, you're talking about the 25th Amendment being used because you see this as a national security threat.
100%. I mean, it's a growing national security threat as well. I mean, look at what we got going on overseas right now. You know, we've got the Russia-Ukraine thing happening. We've got all this violence in the Middle East and Iran trying to inspire all kinds of violence against our country. And we have what's going on with Israel. We've got the potential powder keg in the Indo-Pacific. And we have a president now who's not an effective commander-in-chief. And it's complicated by the fact that we have people around him in his cabinet like Secretary Lloyd, who's been MIA for a long period of time. He's back in the hospital now. This is a dangerous situation right now when we don't have leadership at the Department of Defense and leadership from our commander-in-chief. And we have adversaries that see this as a window of opportunity, as a moment of weakness that they want to take advantage of, and they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, let me get your take on what you're hearing from the White House, having said all of that, because the White House lawyers wrote in a letter to her saying that then Vice President Joe Biden's legal counsel and close friend of Hunter Biden, John McGrail, reportedly was, quote, the center of various discussions on President Biden's handling of classified documents. Congressman, I don't know why we are continuing to go back to Hunter Biden and his business associates. But here, once again, this comes up with regard to the classified documents. And that is why James Comer is demanding access to these documents after Robert Hur, the special counsel, told us some of the documents that Biden was holding on to were about Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this goes back to the fact that, the basic question of how did the Biden family come across all of this money, especially Hunter Biden, who's not qualified for anything. And this, if you read into this guy was given a job as White House counsel back in 2014, and then, did who knows what and gathered who knows what kinds of documents together, passed those to potentially to Hunter Biden to participate in, his ability to raise money and provide influence that led to raising money for the family. But in 2016, he was given the job of dispositioning a lot of these classified documents during the transition. And a bunch of them, ended up at Joe Biden's home where Hunter Biden used to live and party and whatever else. And so how did these documents end up? This goes back to the fact, did these documents end up in Joe Biden's garage because that's where Hunter Biden was located, and because this guy who was responsible for dispositioning them provided documents, certain documents to Hunter Biden that he may have potentially then used to garner influence with his business partners in China and Russia and wherever else. This is a serious, serious problem. And if this were anybody other than the Biden family, this would be a much bigger deal than it is right now. But yes, I think James Comer and Jim Jordan and people like that, we're going to find out what happened. The ice is cracking, and people are coming before their committees now and being more and more willing to talk about what's going on. And one thing's going to lead to another, and something big's going to happen in this story.
Yeah, in fact, Tony Bobulinski is Hunter Biden's former business partner,
Yes.
and he's going to testify tomorrow in front of the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees as part of the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. I asked House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer about what he's expecting to hear on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday. Watch this.
We need to know exactly what the Chinese were paying the Biden family members for. And I think we've seen now, with all the evidence that's played out, they weren't paying Hunter Biden for his brilliant mind. They sure as heck weren't paying Jim Biden for his brilliant mind. We want to know what the Chinese expected of the Bidens and what exactly the Bidens delivered.
Do you believe that Tony Bobulinski has more recordings of discussions that he had that he's been holding on to for a rainy day?
I don't know. That's something we'll find out. He's been treated very poorly by the Bidens. They've attacked him. You can interview Tony Bobulinski and you get a picture of what those of us on the Oversight Committee have been through. We have been obstructed. We have been harassed. We have been intimidated.
Congressman, they also told me that some of their potential witnesses have been attacked and intimidated, trying to get them to not go under oath.
Oh yeah, but I think Tony Bobulinski and others like him, they're done with that now. I think they're going to say what needs to be said. They're going to, reveal what actually happened. He's going to be key because he was there while Vice President was Vice President all the way through the time that he was former Vice President. And now we're wondering if not only were they paying for the Hunter Biden last name, but were they paying for access to classified documents? This is crazy how this is all coming together. But something big is coming from this, Maria, and I think Bobulinski might be the first ball to drop.
Yeah, somebody suggested to me that Bobulinski has extra recordings. We'll see if they ask him about that tomorrow.
I can't wait. I hope he does.
Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much. Dr. Ronny Jackson, thank you for weighing in on all of that. We will see you soon.